Hey everybody, this is Last Second A or Zach's Blobs, and today we're going to be talking about duo queuing and if you should do it, what it means for your games, and what advantages and disadvantages you can have if you do decide to duo queue. In this game I'm going to be duo queuing with my normal duo queue partner. His name is Zed Shadows. I play Zach and he plays Zed, and we duo as often as we can. And that's actually the first thing I'd like to talk about. Hopefully, before I go into anything, hopefully some of the things that I talk about in this game, even though we made some mistakes during this game, if you play the game right with your duo queue, you can carry the game regardless of if you make a little bit more mistakes, because you can use cohesive shot calling to your advantage to carry the game and be in sync with someone else on your team. So, first thing I wanted to talk about was duo queuing with people that you aren't on Skype with, or Curse Voice, or some sort of, speaking over the internet program. And I'd like to say that it is a very, very bad idea. The thing is about duo queuing is that as soon as you duo queue, it increases the MMR of the other team a little bit. I mean, not by like a huge amount, but if you were to duo queue with someone that you aren't familiar with, then you're increasing the enemy chances, or the enemy MMR, while not really increasing your own chances of winning, because you're not on Curse Voice or Skype or TeamSpeak or something like that, so you can't communicate with your friend. You're just banking on the fact that he's a good player. And even if you make one person on your team a guaranteed better player, if you can't cohesively shot call together while on Skype or something like that, then it doesn't really do you that much good. So don't duo queue without some voice program. Number two, do not duo queue, and this is sort of one that I see people do a lot. Do not duo queue with people from solo queue that you just see and win a game with. And this is because I've had a lot of experience with this, and most often than not, I will lose the game because you. Give me a second here. Wasn't really a whole lot I could do about this Kog'Maw dying, unfortunately. Yeah. So, just because you win one game with someone in solo queue, that does not mean they're going to consistently perform well, or are on the same page as you. And I've played with people from solo queue, and I'm not directing this towards any specific one person, in case anyone on my friends list is watching this. I've duo queued with people from solo queue, where the first game they played well. Like, they played well enough for us to win the game, and we won a couple team fights based off of, like some wombo combo or some like well-played team fight through his and my doing. And just because it happens in one game, that does not mean it's going to happen again. Like, I know I've played duo queued with solo queue players before, and I win the first game with them when we're not on Skype, and then as soon as we get on Skype, it's very obvious to me that the person doesn't exactly agree with most of the things that I'm saying, and it turns out when I'll look up their profile afterwards, and they don't have a main champion. They play like any champion they feel like playing at that given time. They'll only the OP champions, whatever, or they'll split push the entire game, or something like that. And that's just not, you have to be on the same page with your duo queue partner. So, for instance, Zed Shadows and I have been duo queuing together since Season 2. And so, even when, like, one of us makes a bad call, the other one will follow it, and then ask questions afterwards. Like, not always, but say, like, if there's a split-second decision call, both of you have to be on the same page, always. Like, even following a bad call together is better than not following a bad call together, because like it might turn out better if you both do it at the same time. You know what I mean? So like right here, we both go on the Nasus hard, and then Ziggs ults, and I didn't have Slingshot up yet, so yeah. So both mid laners end up using Flash, and I just sort of recall here. But you see what I'm saying, though? Like, it's better to follow up in a split-second decision that your buddy makes, because if not, then think about it. So say you make a call and your duo queue partner doesn't follow you and says, "Hey man, you're dumb. I don't know why you did that." Then you're probably gonna feel pretty sad and maybe go on tilt because of that. But if you follow your buddy's call no matter what, and then say afterwards, "Hey man, I think maybe next time we should do it this way," then you'll learn, and you can practice this in normal games. It doesn't have to be in ranked, but you need to like work on cohesive shotgunning together so that you're both always on the same page. I know whenever I have a Zed on my team that is not Zed Shadows, I instinctively go into these what a lot of people would consider really stupid calls. I mean, maybe not stupid calls, but like risky 2v2s or something like that. Where maybe two people that aren't on Skype wouldn't be able to win the fight, but two people that are on Skype, like me and Zed Shadows, would be able to win, because we know exactly who to focus immediately, and yeah, so it's a heck of a lot easier to set up plays when you're on Skype and stuff like that. And here I mess up. I saw that they got Dragon, or I heard the noise, but I actually thought it was just the Nasus that soloed it, because I know I do that a lot on Nasus, is just, hit 6, pop ult, and then solo Dragon. So I assumed it was just Nasus, but I was most certainly wrong. So we've made mistakes this game. Like, Zed Shadows has died once to Ziggs, and I've died once to, I think it was Nasus or somebody. Maybe it was Callista. Somebody. And it turns like we're actually behind in gold right now, as you can see. So even though we're behind this game, the fact that we know what we're doing, and like mid and jungle have the most control over the map. So if you're a jungle main, I would highly suggest doing with a mid laner, because you can pressure mid lane and then translate that pressure to other lanes. It's very easy to take control of the game this way. And if we hadn't made so many mistakes this game, the game would have been over a heck of a lot earlier. But I think the footage itself still speaks for itself. So so unfortunately, Zed swapped back to ult Shadow there. I'm gonna actually rewind this and play it in slow motion. So Zed tries to dodge ult. Fortunately, it was like a split second off. And I interrupt Ziggs' auto attack. Maokai flashes to throw sapling, so Zed swaps back, unfortunately, right into the minefield. That was still there. That was wow. That was still there from like 10 seconds ago. That was the voice crack. Alrighty. So here I sort of play this out. It's a little risky. I know I'm gonna win this fight 1v1. But I assumed Maokai knew he was going to lose, so I assumed that he had some sort of jungle pressure or bot lane, and it was a little risky on my part to stay and fight this because I thought he had help, but he ended up just not knowing how to play Maokai very well, and didn't know who was going to win when it was very obvious to me who was going to win that fight. So it was a risky call, but. So because of that, we ended up coming up, or we ended up coming out on top with Zed getting 1 kill and me getting a kill as well. So Nasus invades me here. Invading on Zac is difficult for most junglers, unless you can like instantly burst him, because in a sustained fight, most of the time he's going to win in a very sustained fight. So not against people like Lee Sin. There are obviously a lot of matchups he loses to early, but you need to have CC if you're going to invade Zac, and Nasus doesn't have that, so I'm not exactly sure what he was doing. So there's 4 people down here, and unfortunately Zed can't really do anything about it. So he just kind of clears the pink ward, and that's about all he can do. So I head to Krugs. Now, the gore is still in their favor at this point. That's a big thing. So bot lane is feeding fairly hard, and which is unfortunate for me and Zed, but you know it happens sometimes, and that's why you need to be able to carry the game. So I see there's a ward here. And my strategy this game is basically just to pressure mid lane until Ziggs gets so far behind that he can't really do anything else. So I slingshot on top of him here, and I just ult him out of his satchel charge, and there's a kill. So what we do here is we are going to take mid lane tower and push the next wave as well. So Ziggs loses 2 waves to turret, and we also get the gold from turret. And this opens up the map a lot more, so that Zed and I can roam and help out the bot lane that's losing. Also, in this scenario against jungle Nasus, big way to stop jungle Nasus is to deny him farm, because obviously late game is going to be a monster if he continues to spam the Q stacks. And if you take towers in a game, the first position to lose farm, actually, give me a second here. So this is sort of a greedy move by us. I should have flashed here, but I didn't expect the flash Janna knockup. So I end up going down here to Ziggs ult, and then blowing passive as well. So, yeah, like, we've messed up a couple times this game, and, like, it's gonna happen. Like, eventually you're gonna mess up, and something's gonna happen. But the thing is, it's gonna be easier for us to come back, because, like I said, it's gonna be, like, a big struggle in solo queue is getting players to group, and I'm not gonna have trouble getting my mid laner to group, because anytime I want him to group, I can just say on Skype, hey, you should group. And if you can't do that with your person on Skype or Curse Voice, if they won't, you know, listen to you or respect any of your opinions or anything like that, then it's going to be a difficult duo queue to make work, if you know what I mean. So, as I was saying earlier about Nasus, you want to take towers as soon as possible against Nasus, as my understanding of it goes, because the first person to lose farm in a game where towers are taken early is the jungler, because either our lanes will go and farm his camps, or his lanes will go and farm his camps. So if Nasus is losing farm, then that's a positive for me. So they end up giving up this dragon to us, because we had solo killed Ziggs. Zed had solo killed Ziggs right before a dragon, or sent him back home at least. So then we're able to group afterwards and take this tower, and then Kalista ult is BS. Oh man, I hate Kalista ult. So yeah. So we're starting to regain our gold a little bit, and Zed is solo killing his lane now that because remember, we denied Ziggs a whole bunch of CS to this tower and experience. So if Zed is up 2 levels right now. if Zed takes is if you give Zed a finger, he will take an arm. Early game, it is very very easy for Zed to snowball a lead, especially this specific Zed. So you generally want to try not to give Zed a lead like this, and especially in duo queues like this, you want to make sure to give your duo queue every advantage possible. So I know what my strengths are, and I know what his strengths are, and we want to play off of those. And every time I go to his lane and we shove waves, I'm shoving the wave very carefully so that I don't take any of the farm from him. And you want to make sure, like, if your strength is obviously when you have more, or is more farm. Let me say that again. If your strength is having more farm and carrying through farm, then talk to your duo queue about that, and maybe you should be the one to take the farm. However, my strength is surviving on low gold income and still making an impact in the game. So I can easily give all the farm to Zed and to give him a bigger lead over the Ziggs, because our Zed's strength is snowballing hard. And remember in this game, he was 1-1, but even though he got a kill off of that, and if he gets a kill, then it's difficult for the enemy to deal with it sometimes. So at this point in the game, we're sort of looking to make a pick or take an objective, like take the next objective, but unfortunately Baron isn't up yet. It's too early for that, and the dragon doesn't spawn for a while. So sort of fail. Oh man, I double tapped E there. My god. Yeah, so I'm just sort of like buying wards and trying to create picks for Zed. Provide vision for Zed so that he can make plays around mid without having to be worried about Nasus ganking or Kalista ganking or Janet ganking or anything like that. And I'm going to talk about my build for a second, because this game I sort of went an interesting build. Actually, hold on, give me a second. So there wasn't, like I said, there's not a whole lot that we have to do right now since Dragon isn't up. Dragon isn't up yet, and Baron's not up yet. So I just go up and gank top, since top is the only lane that is actually still staying in lane. But I know they're rotating up because Zed told me. And then Kalista flashes my slingshot. And then Zed is able to come in and clean up 2 kills from behind without using ult. So we both come out with 2 kills. And even though Tito was caught out of position here a little bit, we were able to salvage it because Zed knew where they were going, knew they were coming towards me, and was able to get the flank off. We know Baron spawns in 10 seconds, but unfortunately, they're going to be up by that time. If it was 10 seconds later in the game, we probably would have been able to do Baron here. It would have been a little risky, but we have Kog'Maw and Zed, so they both do quite a bit of damage to Baron. If you have a mid laner like maybe Victor, who doesn't do a ton of damage to Baron and Dragon, then you might not be able to take objectives like that earlier. But going back to my build, I actually went Spirit Visage this game because if you look at their team, they have 3 magic damage dealers in Ziggs, Janna, and Maokai, and then Nasus does percentage magic damage with his ult. And Jungle Nasus also maxes E, which does magic damage as well. So we get a cheesy kill here on Ziggs. And I'm going to actually go back to my build and then I'll come back to that kill. But yeah, so Jungle Nasus upgrades E first, which does magic damage, and then his ult also does percentage magic damage. So I figured it would probably be a good idea to stack MR first this game, and hope that the extra healing from my blobs would help against the Kalista. And she is the only one with kills. Actually, that's not true. Ziggs has some kills, but yeah. So I'm kind of hoping that Kalista's power spike doesn't happen until I'm able to get my armor item. And this build ends up working out pretty well this game. So, but that kill mid, if this is something I see that happens a lot, or that doesn't happen a lot in lower elos, where somebody tries to, like the Annie went and tibbers the Ziggs, and I had to go hard for that if we wanted the kill. Like I needed like flash, smite, and everything. We needed everything to kill him. But I think I would see a lot of players in lower levels not committing as hard for the kill, because like they're like, if you have to follow up on a kill if your teammate makes a call, you have to like trust each other. You know what I mean? A little bit. So it's sort of a judgment call. Like obviously, if there's 5 people on a ward next to you, then probably don't go for that kill. But if your teammate makes sort of a you know, high risk, high reward play that seems to you like there's a higher reward than there is a risk, then you should probably take it. And it's a really hard judgment call. It gets really difficult decision to make, but you just have to be able to make those decisions. So we actually give up this dragon. Zed and I decide not to go in because we know that our team can't follow up, and he's half HP, and Kog'Maw was not in a position to fight. So we give this up. It's just a dragon. And the second dragon doesn't really mean that much, especially since they can't really siege turrets against us. So we don't mind giving up that dragon. I feel like a lot of the stuff I'm saying this game is sort of arbitrary and not really set in stone, but unfortunately Zed Ignite didn't go off there, which would have been a kill, but I want you guys to notice how much Zed and I are together this game. Like there's very little time where Zed and I aren't grouped and moving around the map at the same time together, or doing the same team or same thing. We're timing our backs at the same time so that we can both stay on the field at the same time. I'm feeding him all the blue buffs. Zed actually does benefit from blue buff from the, I believe, the energy regeneration and cooldown reduction, obviously. So if you can afford to feed your mid laner blue buffs, if you're duoed with them, then absolutely do it, because you need to have faith that your mid laner can snowball the lane, and that blue buff will help them out. If you don't think that blue buff, if you don't think that your duo queue mid laner is good enough for the blue buff, then you probably shouldn't be duoing with them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's a personal opinion, I suppose. So right here they push mid, and I tell Zed, like, it's fine, like come back when you can, but we're actually good here. They can't siege this turret, because if they end up sieging the turret, then I can slingshot onto all of them like I just did and deny the push. And my ult's not on a long cooldown because I went Spirit Visage first, so it puts my ult on a lower cooldown than I would have normally. And that's one of the benefits of going this build. And next I'm going Thornmail, because like I said, the only 2 AD people on their team are Nasus and Callista. And Nasus honestly is building full tank. He's not going to be doing a ton of physical damage besides his Q. And so I don't really think I need the Randuins. And if I can heal enough from Spirit Visage in a fight so that Callista has to hit me a lot more, then Thornmail will be more useful, because she has to hit me more times to kill me. So Kog'Maw almost gets caught here. And they decide to siege this turret. And this is where Zac sieging, anti-sieging I should say, comes in a lot of handy. Because they step on a shroom, and then I'm able to bounce Callista straight into the turret and take all the pressure off of my team. See how like easy Kog'Maw's job is right here? You could be like you could be bronze 580 carry, and this team fight would still end up in your favor. Like there was very little that Kog'Maw had to do correctly there. Zed and I pretty much carried the entire fight by ourselves. Obviously, the Teemo Shroom helped a lot. But even if the Teemo Shroom wasn't there, I think we could have done it regardless. So right now, both Zed and I are calling for Baron because we know their entire team is down. In a normal solo queue game, most people wouldn't be able to call for this because it's just one person making the call. But since both Zed and I are calling for it, we're able to do it. And even though we're low HP, they have 0 global ultimates besides Ziggs, who just spawned. And he won't be in range fast enough to get the Baron. So, as long as you can make those quick, decisive calls like that, and take large objectives for small victories, or take as much as you can get out of each victory that you achieve, the chances of you winning are higher. So you really need to be able to follow up on each other's calls. And I think that's probably the moral of this video. But, yeah. So, basically, right now, Zed is going to go clear bottom. And then we're going to try and siege bot lane. Because it's on the, because Dragon is almost spawning, and because it's on the opposite side of the map of Baron. So if we can push bottom inhibitor, when we have Baron, then that means by the next time that Baron is up, their bottom inhibitor will be down still. So they will have to send someone bottom to deal with the incoming minion waves that will be there because of the inhib bottom. And if they don't have 5 people on Baron and we do, then we can bait it and win a fight off of it, or maybe take it just because it's 4v5. So we're sort of poking at them and posturing, see if we can get a good team fight off of this, but they end up making the correct decision and just not fighting over it. So we just take the dragon and the freeze exalt. And then go mid. And this is about the time where Zed and I are saying we should probably be bot, but we're already here. So I'm actually going to back this up really quick. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Like when your duo partner makes a split-second decision, you need to be able to follow up on that decision, and this is a really good example of that. So Zed sees that Callista is by herself on the side here, and if he goes for her, he knows that I can zone the rest of the 4 out. So he makes a decision to go for Callista, and I immediately jump on the 2 tanks that are going to be trying to peel him off. And like I said again, Kog'Maw is in such an easy position right here. There's very little he has to do correctly this fight. Do you know what I mean? You're so not dependent on your team when you play the game correctly with a duo queue. There was so little that Kog'Maw had to do there. Like I'm not saying that Kog'Maw is bad, because he did exactly what he needed to this game. But you want to depend not a lot on your teammates. And I'm not saying, like, you know, be a douchebag and steal all their farm. But make it as easy for your teammates as possible, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So we're able to take inhib off of this. And then back up and buy, because we just got a huge chunk of gold off the 2 towers on the team fight that we just won. So you guys remember at the start of this game, we were down by, you know, 2k gold or whatever, and all of a sudden we are up by 9k. Because we made correct decisions that amounted to us getting more gold. So I'm just going to skip a little bit, because It's just us buying and clearing out our jungle. I'm smiting Gromp. Gromp is very important to smite. Gives you a lot of damage on the enemy AD carry. I noticed a lot of AD carries on my team taking my Gromp and my Wraiths. If you're gonna take two camps from the jungler, most of the time, the most useless ones to the jungler are Wolves and Krugs. If you're really far behind, then Wolves are really useful, but most of the time Krugs aren't super useful. So if you're gonna take two camps from your jungler, take those two, because obviously Wraiths deny the enemy vision, and Krugs give your jungler a ton of damage for the enemy AD carry. So you're denying your jungler a lot if you take those two camps. So Zed insta-gives the Callista, and Callista is actually forced to build Quicksilver Sash this game, which denies her item build, or denies, sort of delays her item build a whole lot. And Zed is able to solo her anyways during team fights. So, like I said, once again, there was very little that Kog'Maw had to do correct. I don't know what Kog'Maw is. Oh my god. There's very little Kog'Maw had to do this game. Like, he is 5-2 and 10, and it is very easy to look good on an AD carry when you're winning the game, because you can stand in the back and just, you know, fire away. Whereas Callista, who actually won the lane, looks really bad right now because she's been soloed by the Fed mid laner over and over again. And I think I know every mid laner in existence knows the feeling where they win lane and then get, you know, assassinated by the 20-0 Zed or whatever. So right here, I think I stop and grab Scuttle Crab, right? Right, me? Right? Yeah. Okay. So I grab Scuttle Crab because Baron is spawning soon, and I don't want them to be able to sneak it. So then I go back, and Kog'Maw's still buying. See, like, I feel like Kog'Maw's been AFK for half this game. There's just so little that he has to do correctly because of the way that Zed and I are controlling the team fights. So when half of their team, or when 3/5 of their team dies to the tank and the mid laner, the AD carry just has such an easy job. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's really, really important. So Ziggs throws Satchel Charge, and unfortunately Zed gets chunked half his health by Baron. But then he gets a lifesteal off the ward. So I see two back at base, and we call for Baron. And for whatever reason, Kog'Maw goes and tries to do Dragon at this point. I don't know that this is the smartest call, but he ends up soloing the Nasus anyways. So, yeah, and we end up getting Baron and Dragon off of that. So, I guess great call by Kog'Maw. So, yeah, since they had two back, we got to take the free Baron. And it seems like an obvious call, but I've been in a lot of solo queue games where just because a call is obvious, that does not mean your team will make that call. And it's because of the lack of communication that you have in a solo queue game normally. So here we have Baron again, and we're going to try and push the top inhib, or top tower. But then we sort of realize that the mid inhib just respawned. So we go to fight there instead. And I'm just sort of... I'm actually going to rewind this really quick. So this is the final team fight. And Maokai sort of turns it into a team fight, or Ziggs does. And I'm going to pause it here. So notice how everyone is going on a Teemo. And the rest of my team is in a really good position to just, like, destroy the Maokai Nasus if I allow them to. So what I'm gonna do is try my best to peel for Teemo here, and hopefully the rest of my team can destroy the enemy front line while I'm doing that. So let's see here. So I bounce everyone except for Callista away from Teemo. And if Callista's the only one on Teemo, Teemo should be able to blind her and then insta-gib her. So then I stun the 2/3 of what's left of their team, and Ziggs end up killing Annie. But like I said, the rest of the fight is pretty easy for Kog'Maw. There's very little that he has to do positioning wise that a bronze 580 carry couldn't do. Yeah, so that's pretty much the end of the game. I hope you guys learned a little bit from this. I know I rambled quite a lot, but I believe some people did say they wanted a game of me and Zed Shadows doing together, so here it is. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys learned something. Let me know if this was okay. I think I'm going to be doing like one commentary per week and then one like educational video that's like around 6 to 10 minutes long. And I think that's about it. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you all have an awesome day. See ya.